I thought that would be a great addition to Australian farming.
G'day, farmers. Welcome to the Farms Voice podcast. Great to have you back and have you listening as we get into one of the busiest periods for farming, harvest right across Australia. Harvest can look a little bit different for everyone out there, whether you're working through the day, through the night, picking berries, whether it's in 12-week increments or if it's once yearly for the grain growers out there about to rip the heads off, started ripping the heads off. This is going to be a great episode for you. We'll be talking with Wattz Lighting and Andre, why he started, how he started, his experiences on farm, what was lacking, and I think that paints a pretty obvious picture with Wattz Lighting. I think it's great to showcase the products of agriculture in Australia and on farms, and what sort of products are going to make those 1% little differences that you can make out for me, getting new lights, headlights on your ute, headlights on your tractor, front, back and sides, working lights, light bars on your spray rig. You do not think you need them until you get them, and you've just had the squints on for the last 10, 12 years, looking at pasty yellow lights fading away about 10 meters in front of you. I've done it too many times and it's frustrating. It's like when you buy a car and you do it up for the next person. Let's start doing up our tractors. Let's improve the little things, 1%, not putting, what are they called? Neon lights under the cars like Fast and Furious. God, mind blowing. Anyway, but yeah, we're chasing these 1%ers, whether that be inputting lights onto your tractors so the crew can go at night time to get the job done quicker, to get those heads off, or to put those heads in the paddock come sowing time next year. I think, yeah, we're really just trying to chase those little gains, what we can do on farm. They do have 30-day money back guarantee and also free delivery over $400. I saw on the website. They didn't coach me to say that. I just know they're great lights. And to get them out there, help him. He's come from the industry himself and he's wanting to build this up to help you as farmers and I to continue farming and to farm a little smarter. Long intro, but let's get into this episode, Andre. Andre, great to have you on the Farms Voice podcast.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here. Been looking forward to it.
So the idea of the podcast was to speak to each and everyone in agriculture, farming within Australia to start with, and we've got a few global listeners now, which is always good. But to have products and services, people within the industry probably implementing those little 1%ers that we can find on farm, and that's what you've done. But before we get into that, introduce yourself. Where are you from, your background, and how did you end up in the role that you are today?
Absolutely. Well, it was a bit of a journey, but I'm born in South Africa, raised there on a family farm, been the 6th generation farming there, and moved to Australia when I was 22. That was about 10, 11 years ago. The family farm back there wasn't big enough really to sustain me and my brothers and that. So I studied aircraft engineering, and then as soon as I moved to Australia, farming was the option again. And so I got straight back into farming, started working for a potato and onion farm up in the Mallee, and then moved down south to Naracoorte, where I was spraying predominantly there for maybe 5, 6 years, and then got made manager there. It was a corporate, so they sold eventually, which was actually nice because it was a big block of land, but they ended up breaking it up and selling it to mostly the neighboring farmers and stuff like that. And I thought that was great to see. Normally it's the other way, family farms get sold to corporate, so that was great. And then soon as news from the sale was out, then I got a job offer in Kingston to go manage potatoes and onions there. And I was there up until January, start of this year. But I took a year off to go abroad to Germany. I wanted to go and see what they do there with potatoes and onions. And it's a good thing about working with backpackers every year. So we had a potato farmer that used to come back, and I visited him there. And that's how this all started. When I was there, I seen the products and the stuff they make and what they have. And I thought that would be a great addition to Australian farming.
Also, I forgot to mention, if you're not following the Farms Voice podcast, make sure you follow down below if you're listening, watching on YouTube. It is a huge help if you're listening on Spotify, Apple. If you can subscribe to the podcast so you get the next episode coming up. We give out weekly episodes so that you at home on the farm can keep on improving. And for like the 10 outside of farms, so they can listen in, be a fly on the wall of what we're doing, how we're improving, and what farming looks like in Australia. I think that's the coolest thing that can be done. So subscribe to the podcast and go 1 mile further, 1K further down the road and subscribe and review the podcast on Apple, Spotify. It is a huge help. I do this off the back of my own pocket most of the time. Little bit of sponsorship. If you do want to sponsor the podcast, more than welcome. This has been a hard slog for 6 years, and I'm trying to just pick up the buzz again for podcasting. So help me get that buzz.
And there's a need for that. Being myself, sitting on the sprayers and tractors, long hours, you know where the shortcomings is. So I approached the manufacturer there and did a partnership with him to bring it to Australia, which brought me here.
So you go over looking for potatoes and you come back with some lighting to help put on the tractors. But we'll dive in. I want to just touch on your South African background. Can you highlight like what that sort of looks like, paint the landscape, and is it comparable to anywhere in ag you've worked or have seen in Oz?
So not really in the south where we are here, mainly because we get winter rain here. So where I was in South Africa, we get summer rain. So we did corn, peanuts, sunflower, all that kind of stuff. No irrigation really. Whereas here, like I said, it's winter rain and everything was under pivots. But farming, all the tractor work and the people and that I found doesn't matter really which country you go to if the farmers are always sort of similar, down to earth, nice people.
And like the operation wise as well, like for your family farm, but also the farms around, is it quite similar, like using machinery, investment into it, same technologies, or how does it sort of differ from what we do?
Yes and no. There is farmers and they are well and truly ahead with implements the machinery, but what's a bit of a holdback there is cheap labor. So the investment cost for a machine is sometimes hard to justify when you can have cheap labor and you can use that labor for anything really. So South African farming is very heavily reliant on workforce, on the labor. You would have a very high number of workers for whatever acreage you do.
Yeah,
because it is affordable.
I've seen a little bit in Spain, like within their agriculture, and because labor is cheaper coming in, and probably the access to the labor as well makes it a lot easier rather than spending the millions that we do in Australia for the potato farms. They're quite a intensive sort of operation. And then leading into potato, onion, what else were you growing down in Kingston?
So we had barley for hay back there. That was just what we did. We did some carrot seed for SPS, South Pacific Seeds. But when I was at Naracord, we did barley, wheat, canola. We had some livestock as well. But the main focus has been horticulture this whole time.
Yeah, so within that role and the other roles that you've had, you probably had a lot of hours sitting in the seat, in the cab, wondering like how it can be done a little bit better. And that's why your curiosity was spiked a little bit with about like looking into Wattz before it actually became Wattz.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing for spending thousands of hours on it. You know, as soon as you see something like, oh, I wish I had this ages ago, would have made it a lot easier for me. So, and I feel that from a product development point of view is great to have actually spend the time. Same with our whole development team is all farmers or ex-farmers.
Yeah.
So it's not something that will just look nice. It needs to fit the purpose.
Yeah, and probably the ease of just sort of switching them out and over. Give us a bit of a background. You went over to Germany and you came back with your lights and have made Wattz now as a company. How does it work? What products do you have and who's it for currently?
So yes, what we do, I'm quite fortunate in the position to partner up with them because that gives me access to a massive range of the last 10 years, what they've already done and perfected and keep improving. So we're not just making lights for one or two tractors. We have for, I'd say 99 of the models, 99% of all the makes and models we would have lights for. And what we do different is we try and keep it the original look, same wiring harness, same brackets, because we predominantly just sell online. We don't go out and install. So we want it to be as easy as possible for the farmer without going to make up a new bracket or have to cut into your loom and solder in or anything like that. So it's model specific what we do, which is what I really like, which I thought that is missing here. So you just unbolt your old one, bolt the new one in and plug it in, and that should work while keeping your same aesthetics, really.
Yeah. And are they quite universal, or it changes by each brand, or does it change by each model of tractor?
Both. So the models tend to change a lot in between them. Depending on the model, we might have to change the connector or something like that, or a different bracket or a little adapter bracket, which we have on the configurator set up to, it should show you that. But then we also have universal lights. We aim
Yep.
to be a one-stop shop for farmers or for anyone really. So we have a bunch of different universal lights which you can put on the back of your U-tray. We do high bay UFO lights for sheds and workshops and all that. And then in our tractor range, there's quite a few different universal lights which does fit on multiple different models and makes. It's yeah. I was quite surprised to see how many of the different models use the same headlights or same work lights, or completely different. And then John Deere and New Holland, in case there's models that overlap with the exact same light.
And what about for the older tractors? Because they've been running for 10 years. Are they like you can nearly fit a light onto anything?
Yes. So they were not the main focus, but big focus.
Yep.
So we just came out with a new range of headlights for the older model case, and that which is nice. It does not only brings a bit of life and makes working a lot easier and safer, but it looks good too when you got all new lights. And so we do focus a lot on all the models.
Yeah, I think for yourself, like you're having all those hours in the cab producing the potatoes, onions, carrot seed, and all that. It is a great visual sort of comparison. You don't get that luxury with a lot of products, so you can see like they normally coming from that yellow sort of tinge light in the tractor cab or in the header as originals, and then sort of making it just bright as anything, nearly turn it into day. That's a great comparison, and that's been working as a good sales point. You can see the value of what your products are doing straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. It does make a big difference, not only in the obvious for seeing better, but the fatigue, the safety of it, just the little things too, like all our lights would have the CISPA Class 4 higher chip in it, which basically just means you won't get any radio interference. Because I remember I was spraying, and then as soon as I put on some of the spotlights or the high beams, the radio would cut out. And then you're like, wow, this sucks. Turn off the lights and listen to some radio. But it makes a big difference in what we try and achieve too. So with some of how you mount the bracket, we've made them so you can swivel them a little bit, so you can adjust it. The goal is to get a full 360 view, so you don't have any blind spots, or you can chop and change it whatever you do with your tractor. With technology increasing as well, you're not always chasing just lumens. Our lights are quite bright, but the way technology is now, it allows us to focus on more things as well than just the brightness. So now what we do a lot, we offer, most of our lights come in two different offerings, a spot and a flood. So it'll look exactly the same on the outside. But if you're, say, doing you're a hay contractor, you're traveling at different speeds and doing different things, say if you're rock crushing. So I think you want, and we try and offer all that. So they are model specific, but universal in that as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah. When, like, is there any standards when you're sitting in the cab of how far, like, your lights should actually, to reduce fatigue? Have you looked into that at all? Because that'd be pretty interesting to see. Like, when you're in the cab, you need 100 meters of vision to reduce fatigue or something like that. Does that play a part? Any research from that?
For fatigue, we have not done a study on that. I know for our headlights, because all our stuff is E-marked, it has to be road legal and for your insurance and everything like that, and warranty. So with some of the headlights, there is limitations to what you can do, and we had to change a lot of that because in Germany they drive on the other side of the road. So it has to one that needs to shine a bit further and cut off. So there's some legislation and limits on that, but on the other spotlights and work lights, not really.
Have you seen like the headlights? I think it's more so in Europe, and it sort of shapes around the oncoming car.
Yeah.
And then once the car goes past, it gets back up. That's pretty wild. And
that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
But for us, we're probably, the only thing we're passing is the chaser bin, and you're getting up into hurry up at harvest time or something. But for the listeners listening in and wondering why we have you on today, I think like this is one of these sort of 1%ers that you can improve your farm. If there's a product or service out there that can help the farmers improve like their driver fatigue, especially now that we're trying to make it as hospitable as we can for our labour units out on farm, whether that be family, kids, your nieces and nephews, or outside labour. I think this is a really unique piece, and you can probably touch on this of being a bit complacent on farm. You just have your lights and just think that's what you've got, and that's what it is. But yeah, you really don't know until you sort of switch them over and see what Watt's lights could do for you, or just illuminate a little bit more in front of you.
Exactly. That's why what fired me up to do this, because I was the same. I was sitting on the tractor with terrible lights, and then you just complain and say, "Oh, this sucks." But then to put another spotlight or light bar somewhere, you need to make the bracket, and it's a struggle, and you never get it really right. So you just carry on. But that's why I wanted to give that option, because it does make a difference in fatigue, and it's not necessarily only if you're night shift or something like that. It is just getting a couple hours earlier in the morning if the wind is still and you need to go spraying, or a few hours later at night, just making it that much easier, safer, because if you can't see, then you're just hoping or guessing, really.
Yeah. And a lot of people that listen search stuff on the run. If you want to go to Instagram, go to Wattz_Lighting, and you'll be able to see some pretty good comparisons there of what's happening, what's going on. So where have Watt's lights taken you at the moment, Andre? You've been out and about installing where you can as well?
Yeah. So like I said, we try and make it as easy as possible for everyone, installation wise, with the connectors and brackets and everything. But I've tried as much as I can. If someone is sort of within a 3 or 4 hour radius, I'd try and get out there and show them and install it to them. And yeah, try and get out there. We've done a few installs around the area because we're based in Geelong. So we did one in West Gippsland there for Stu the farmer. We did two there now actually. And we went out to Bingham's. We did a few for them. We went out to Lake Bolac. We're also, with some of our development projects coming up, we're working with XL Farms, also around Lake Bolac. Yeah, which we've been trying and modifying some new stuff for next season.
Yeah, there's some pretty impressive operations, especially Bingham. They've got a lot of equipment, and they seem to fly on socials. Come harvest time or sowing time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They are. We're quite lucky to. That came about before we launched. We reached out to them and said, we'll offer them a light package for one of their tractors for them to try and try it out for us, see what they think, and put it through the paces. And that's how they did. They finished about halfway through their sowing season with it, and then they came back and bought it for the rest of their fleet. They were really happy with it. Made a big difference. And it's not only for what I realize now with talking to farmers and the people that have already got it, is not only just for older models, it's when they buy new tractors as well. I remember when I was still in Kingston, we had a 6R215 and that had all halogen lights, and it was a pain in the ass. So I wanted to upgrade that, but through the dealer was going to be just over $6,000. And I know companies like Case in New Holland, I think for around 10,000, what they call the ultimate package, which then they change it over to LED, where we can do better, but for $2,000 for the same amount of lights. So I'm seeing that too, where farmers, instead of chasing lights for their older tractors or outdated, when they buy a new one, they just go the base package and then rather upgrade through us, which saves a lot. If you can save $7,000, that goes a long way on the farm.
Yeah. When you're installing the lights, are you installing just to where the previous was, or is it beneficial to add like a couple more on the front, one on the back for operating? Is that how it works, or you're getting enough coverage using the existing points?
Yes, so that depends on what you're actually doing with the tractor. I'd say 99% we're just replacing where they are. What we do find what's quite popular on some of the John Deere 6 series is on these indicator posts where you have the two lights facing forward. They put two floodlights, but facing complete, because on the John Deeres you have the dark spot on your left and right hand side, where some of the class, they have the lights in the step, but John Deere doesn't have that. So they just put another one under there, and we make a little splitter cable, which makes it really easy. So you don't need to wire anything in. You just, from the old plug it in, and then it goes to two, and they mount one on the bottom there, because there's already a hole for you to mount it there. So I'd say from changing it up, that's normally where they change it up.
Yeah. So what have you learned establishing this business in doing a fair bit of work and coming from South Africa? It's like some of the challenges that you didn't foresee starting this up.
Challenges I didn't see was from the marketing point of view. If you have something in your head and you know how it works, or you know the benefits of it, having to tell other people that without trying to push it, or sounds
Yeah.
just like a bloody salesman, to actually provide value in a way that's not pushing. And that's, I feel that's something I learned really well.
I think probably in Australia, like if you go to America, probably a lot more pushier on that sort of side and the sales of it. I think like Australia could benefit a lot for and get a lot of more adoption if we were to that approach. I think we are a bit too soft. That's just my understanding of it on that pitch side. We're sort of worried that what they're going to think or whatnot, but if you can sort of create that value once you get
Yeah,
going, the Aussie products usually see the test of time against other countries because we wait so long until that product's perfect and then go to market that way. Like that's how the
yeah.
investors look at Aussies in business as well. So is there anything that you are working towards for the rest of the year? And we're currently in spraying season now. Most of the crop is in. Once everyone
Yep.
gets going on the sprayers, how can you improve your lighting on the sprayer? Because I saw you can add them onto the bars as well
Yes,
when you
so
fold out.
that's something that we try and focus on seasonal, what lights we sort of try and promote. And we're, like you said, heading into that spraying and spreading now. And we have those, some people call it blue lights or purple lights that you can
Yep.
fit underneath the boom, where ours would do up to a 50 meter boom quite easily. It does, me spending all that time on a sprayer, it does make a big difference to see. And with the cost of chemicals and everything now, if you can see a nozzle that's blocked or not working as
Yep.
it should or anything like that, it just makes it a lot easier, less straining on you too,
Yeah.
because there is a
And
lot of advantages to spraying at night, which we've seen as well. So when you're spraying at night, that does help a lot. And I find it, if you can turn off your rear working lights and just have those two blue lights on, that it's less straining on your eyes as well.
yeah, true. I didn't think of that. Yeah, right. So moving into spraying season, what do you have coming up for Wattz Lighting? What's a little project that you're working on? Refining anything?
So our spray lights we're not refining anything on them. They're really good at the
Yep.
moment. Very durable. They're chemical resistant. They're powder coated. They work really well. We are using some of that technology, which we're trying for a different project that's coming up for next season for the cedar bars, which we're trying to do. But we're just going to try and promote some more. We have got some footage and work with some people, some contract sprayers and other farmers. And we're just going to start working with a bit of that content and get it out there, get some testimonials. Because I think
Yeah.
it's what, like you said earlier too, where you feel like we don't push as hard as, say, as the Americans for that. But I've been on the receiving end when I'm bloody busy farming, and then the sales rep comes on there, and it's
Yeah.
just annoying when you're busy and trying to do so. We try and avoid that, and I think testimonials is a good part of that, because we never ask anyone to say this or that. We just want
Yeah.
an honest opinion from them, and get it straight from the guys who's using it. I think
Yeah.
that carries the most value.
Yeah, 100%. And especially that the farmer can install them themselves. I think we could have a little bit of a panic thinking about adding lights if we like get the soldering iron out. But you
Yeah.
don't have to when it comes to Watt's Lighting. What over
No.
your
So
top? Yeah.
yeah, sorry. So some of our lights, like the spray lights, for instance, they are CR3001. They would come in the box with an open end wire, but it would
Yeah.
come with a Dodge plug, or so it depends what your tractor is set up for. But if you want, because normally you put two, like I said, then we do have a connector that goes from 1 to 2, so you don't need to solder or anything like that in. You just get the separate connector and then plug that in, and then you're good to go.
What's the quickest time that you've put lights into a tractor or a header or spray rig?
Well, per light, I'd say probably minute 10.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
if we're lucky. Even though, and this is where we want to be honest with some people, all our lights and stuff is easy to install and plug and play. But a lot of the time, we're lucky and tractor, the plug is on the outside. But then,
Yeah.
or where you can reach it easy. Sometimes, like the John Deere's, I like to do that, to put the plugs in the roof or something like that. So even though it is just plug and play, there's sometimes a bit of work to get to it.
Yeah. And touching on the workshop, I'd love to go around and take a photo of everyone's workshop just to see how they set it up and everything. How are you putting those lights in? Because if they don't have an existing connection.
For what tools and workshop you would need is pretty straightforward. Just I got a crimper and side cutter, really, wire stripper. For like I said, we do even if the tractor has a different connector, if he wants to put on a light that has a different connector, we have the connectors as well. So it's just pushing the little tab, pulling it out, and putting a different connector on. We never really solder or anything like no.
Yeah.
So tool-wise to install it, everyone, and I think that's a big advantage too, especially for if you're running a bigger operation where multiple tractors and things are happening at once, where anyone can install the light. You don't need your auto elec or whoever to come out and do it. You can just unplug it and put a new one in. You can use the same bracket or you can use a new bracket that comes with it.
Yeah. So over your experience now, starting this up and also your farming experience, what's been the best piece of farms advice that you've received?
Well, I'd say that'll probably come from my dad. Do what you must before you do what you want. Yeah. So
I've never heard that variation, so that's a good one to hear.
Yeah. Do what you must before you do what you want, and do what's right and not what's easy. I feel like if you keep that as your base, then the rest will follow.
Yeah, that's solid advice, mate. And for anyone wanting to look at Wattz Lighting, where's the best place to go?
They can hop on our website, watts.com.au, so wattz.com.au, and we try and make it as easy. We have a thing on the website called we call it our configurator, which is a tractor. So you put in your make, model, and year, and it should show you exactly which lights will fit. Some people get confused. It's not a kit. You don't have to buy all the lights. You can add or deselect whichever ones you don't want, but that should show you. We're constantly updating it because there's so many different models and variations and this and that. So if you can't find your tractor on there, there's a really good chance we do have lights for it. We just haven't updated all of it yet.
And if we're in a pinch, how long would it take for lights to get to the farm?
Well, we're based in Geelong. People have phoned and then we express post it, but normally it's just normal Australia Post.
Yep, so just going off the standard post.
Yeah. If there is a need, they can just phone and ring up and we can express post, or if they're close enough, we'll drop it off.
Yep. Mate, well, I appreciate you coming on to the podcast, improving the farms by 1% more for 2025 and beyond. Appreciate it.
No, I appreciate being on here. Appreciate what you're doing too. It's great. I listened to some of your podcasts earlier. We asked someone about the tools they use, and I think podcast is a great tool for that. If you're spending 12 hours a day sitting in a tractor, you're getting paid to educate yourself to listening to podcasts and stuff like that. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's probably like the industry that's really set up for it. Like I was sitting behind sheep in the buggy or on the two-wheeler, and it's just, I like listening to something rather than the lambs going off their heads.
Exactly.
Or when you are in the spreader or something like that, it's really good. You spend a lot of your times alone, so it's a good way to sort of set yourself up and hear what others are doing out there.
Exactly. It's free education.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, Andre, thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
No, thank you very much. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode. And thank you for Andre to giving up some time to come on the podcast. This episode was actually done on the road. I was out and about. And so it was really good to get this done. And yeah, let us know what you thought about the podcast. The conversation does not stop there. You'll be able to find Wattz Lighting at, hang on a minute, at watts.com.au, and Wattz is with a Z. So go out, check it out, see what they're up to. If you're needing some lights for your tractor for the coming season, for your header, for your combine truck, whatever. If you start doing podcast lights, might have to improve a couple of these. But anyway, keep at it, keep on farming. Australia depends on it.